Mm, 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 Hello, it's me again, here again on the Monday with some tea, which I'll pour out now. Although I'm a bit sort of skeptical about it because this thermos is really sort of thin, and I can't fit a sort of spoon in there, so I had to use a knife, and I pierced the tea bag at the end. So if there's any sort of residue, then we're in trouble. But it looks like it's okay so far. So all things going well, which they appear to be. Here we are, wonderful, on this Monday. Hello, hope you're all doing well. My name is, Oxy, I suppose. I make videos and I also work for Gaijin in many capacities at the moment. And on Monday, I am here to talk to you all for an hour or 2 hours, depending on what goes on. Uh, Pretty much just about the game. If you have any questions about it or anything in general, I can sort of do my best to answer what I can. I can't tell you what's coming in the next update for quite obvious reasons. Um, but you can continuously ask me about it if you like. You just probably won't get an answer. Yes, hello. I'm here now for a bit, and I hope you're all having a very nice day. I will have my tea in a bit, but it's quite warm at the moment. Well, maybe I'll try. I have this sort of tendency to leave tea or coffee for about half an hour before I drink it, and then it's cold and I never finish. So I will have some now. Yes. No, it's not a dev stream. It's just sort of me here for a bit, and not really that much else. We're not running some particular high octane operation today. This is very much more of a sort of quiet Monday. So, yep, nothing major, which is quite nice. I think I might very much prefer that. And yeah, so the main idea of this is just to want to have something to listen to on your Mondays before you're getting ready for work or school if you're in the Americas, or if you're on a break at work or school in Europe. So that's sort of the gist of today. What tea am I drinking? I believe it's Yorkshire Gold. We got it from Amazon a while ago, and it's quite nice. It's not sort of the tea I usually drink in the UK, but sort of getting conventional tea in Germany is quite difficult. So it's yeah, pretty much stuck to stuff you can order in, or like herbal stuff, which is okay sometimes, but not like all the time, obviously. So yeah, it's not bad. I don't really mind it. I like the new nuke effects. Yeah, they're pretty cool, right? I don't really know much about them, but or like what the application is, but the effects look pretty cool. I remember watching. I was like, okay. And I think I said out loud, like, okay, that's cool, which is quite nice. I like stuff like that. Stuff that doesn't exactly have a huge tangible impact, but it's just visually interesting. Like I've always kind of liked that kind of thing. So yeah, I'm pretty cool to that. Uh, Pretty cool to that. That's not really a word, is it? Anyway, yeah, lots of vegan comments. I don't even know what that is. No idea to that. Um, Pretty much. Sorry, my brain just gave up working. I was trying to read many things at once. um, do you know about the Chinese MiG-15 with bomb sight? I do not. I think at some point the J6 had a ballistic computer. I don't believe it has it right now. Oh, no, maybe it does. It still has the gun sight control, if I remember, like the tracking gun sight. But I don't really know anything in particular to the MiG-15, the regular one. Um, Good morning. I hope your morning is going well. My morning is past, but it was nevertheless all right. Yep, not really too much going on, but pretty standard. Um, no, the I haven't changed the Twitch to follower mode. If it's in follower mode, that was someone else. I don't know why it's like that. If it is like that, it doesn't have to be. It probably shouldn't be. I don't know why that's the way it is. Anyway, yeah. Um, who to Spitfire? Now this could mean many things. Do you mean what's like a good Spitfire? Like what does this mean? I'm not particularly sure, I'm afraid. Uh will the British be reviving the Tornado in the next update? I have no idea. I can't tell you that, I'm afraid. This is not really my remit of expertise at the moment. I know most things that are coming, but I can't really tell you about them because I mean ultimately it's like one of those things that I mean you kind of don't want to know. It's like I guess the best way to describe it, even though okay, the way I'll describe it will be quite pretentious. I don't intend to kind of couple these two particulars, but it's like if you, it's like when you're watching a magic trick, you know, and you want to know how it's done, but if you know how it's done, it kind of sucks all the enjoyment out of it. I think it's the same with dev blogs. It's like you kind of like knowing just enough about what's going to come to make it interesting to kind of speculate. But when you know, it's like, let's move on to the next thing. So, I mean, I like having ambiguity around this kind of thing. So, yeah, I won't be kind of spoiling anything. Maybe I can be very, very vague with upcoming stuff, which is can be quite fun. But I can't tell you any specifics, even if I really wanted to for many reasons. But yeah, sorry. uh, have you tried Irish breakfast tea? I haven't. I don't really know what the particulars are on that with regular tea. Also, I don't know if you can hear, but it's raining like immensely outside. It sounds like people are throwing plums at the window. That's quite vigorous. Hopefully, you can't hear that. Probably not. But yeah. Um, any aircraft game mechanics to be excited about? Maybe. It all depends on what sort of things excite you. I can't really speak to sort of blanket excitements like that. Um, Archer is superior to Panzer IV, isn't it? I guess in some ways, probably. Not really in terms of peak versatility and performance, I guess, but it certainly has some things over it, especially at the BR. Um, when Chinese tech to review, I'm not sure. Maybe after the US one, maybe not. I don't know. I'd like to do the Chinese one a bit sort of a long way after because it sort of has many vehicles that will already be covered. So doing it afterwards would kind of streamline that, I guess. But I'm not sure. Ultimately, I have to think about it close to the time. China needs more missile boxes. Maybe. I mean, the ones I've got right now are pretty cool. The CM25, I think, is really, really good. It's I mean, good in terms of what it is and what it does, not in terms of like the being the best vehicle in the world, but it's pretty cool. I like it. Um, any new bombers? Not sure actually. Yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe I genuinely have no idea, and all the particulars. Tom face reveal when? No idea when that's going to happen. Probably never. I would have thought. Um, when will be Mao's back? It sort of comes back from War Thunder's birthday, so it'll probably be around that next year. I don't know. It's likely that will be when it comes back, but I don't know. Maybe it'll change next year. But I think that's sort of the general theme right now is that it will come back for the birthday to be sort of researched for a bit. So you'll probably be able to get it then, although I'm not exactly sure. I'm also going to tuck my hair behind the headphone there, so I don't need to keep adjusting it. Otherwise, that sort of gets quite annoying. What's your thought on the MiG-28 skin? Pretty cool. I like it. I mean, I think it's the pre-order bonus, so it's not going to be available forever, like how the Black Shark thing was for that kind of thing, pre-order stuff. So pretty cool. I like it. It's nice to have sort of those unique aspects, I guess. So yeah, I'm a fan of that. What was your reaction to the new graphics? Pretty much like that emote you've got right there. I don't know if it was really like that, but I think I said out loud, "That's cool," and I did the little finger gun thing. I don't know why I did that, but I did nevertheless. So yeah, I think it's pretty cool. Uh, Panther 2 comeback? Probably not, at least not widely for a very long time. Um, I think it's. I mean, I don't know if it's never, ever, ever coming back, but if it is to come back, it would probably be an incredibly limited capacity. But I don't know on the particulars for that, I'm afraid. Um, we need to see the new nuke. I mean, you can rewatch the video of it over and over if you want, and then probably be able to test it soon on the dev server when that comes out. I'm not sure when that will come out, but probably quite soon-ish. E100 will ever come back as an event? It's been years. Excuse me. Maybe. I mean, it's one of those things that sort of incidentally comes back now and again. I think maybe I don't know if it'll be the E100 again because from my perspective, I mean, all the players who are well, the players who are sort of capable of earning it back in the day will probably already have it. So researching while having it back out again as a tournament reward would probably not be super appealing. Maybe it'll be something different. I don't know. Maybe it'll come back. But I can't really speak to that at the time. War Thunder Discord server when? I think there's an unofficial one you can have a look at. I don't know if it's. I don't think I'm on it actually, but it's probably good if you want to have a chat or meet some chums. Give it a look. I can't really speak to it, I'm afraid. I cannot speak to any of these new things you're suggesting me. I have no idea. Absolutely cannot. Can we have tea with Toe instead of kind of like Tone's voice? I mean, yeah, maybe. It sort of depends. We sort of flit in and out. We look exactly the same, but have vigorously different personalities, as you can tell. Do you play War Thunder on Steam? Nope. You can't find my hours out that way. I don't think I've ever had the War Thunder launcher through Steam, just through the standalone. So I think I got it ages ago before it was even on Steam, the launcher. So yep. Can I get a hi from my brother? He loves War Thunder. Hello to your brother. I don't know what your name is, but I'm sure you're pretty cool, and I'm glad you like the game. That's pretty sweet. Man, these are just. I mean, I cannot. I mean, Viggen is a very cool little aircraft. I don't know it's coming. I'm not really in touch with the critical information required to be able to give you an answer on this. So I cannot even comment on it, even if I wanted to, I'm afraid. So yeah, sorry about that. How do you play the Lorraine 40T? It's one of those vehicles that's sort of very universal in that you can sort of play it in any way you like, but there are obviously ways that lead it to perform better. And playing it to its strength, of course. I mean, playing it quite aggressively works quite well, obviously because gun is really good. It's very reactive. Mobility is great. Turret traverse is very quick. Reload is obviously incredibly quick. So catching enemies by surprise is obviously very, very useful for a vehicle like that. But I mean, it's good to the point where you can play it passively if you want. And those vehicles are always really, really good. Because if you're on a map that doesn't allow for sort of close quarters aggressive gameplay, you don't need to play it like that. It's versatile in that sense. But if you want to get the most out of it, you need to make use of the mobility and the sort of reactiveness of the firepower. That's certainly the way to go. But you can pretty much play it in any way you like. If you're someone that isn't really very confident with the maps or being aggressive on a whole, I know a lot of people aren't really that great at playing that way, especially if you're sort of new to the game. So yeah, it's good in that sense, but you can certainly play it however you like to a degree. But I would try and play aggressively if you like. That's certainly how I'd look to playing it anyway. Am I a Soviet spy? No, I'm not really that cool, I'm afraid. Will your shop ever open again? Yes, it will. When I'm able to find a decent supply for frames and stuff, I will just bring it back up. As right now, the company that I used to get the frames from can't ship to Germany, so I can't get the frames over here, of course, like right now, which is a shame. So either I need to wait until they find a workaround to that, or I can find a distributor in Germany to buy them from. So I haven't found that yet. If I do, then great. It means I can start up soon. But yeah, not right now, I'm afraid. But soon, as soon as possible, I will definitely be giving it a go. What country should I get? I'm starting. What are you interested in most? Ships, aircraft, tanks? Let me know. I will try and give it a go. They don't have frames in Germany. Yeah, just it's a sort of luxury commodity, like breakfast tea. Absolute no way to find them. The only way you can get them is through IKEA, or the ones that are handmade to the point that they're like 20 euros each, which is an absolute madness. Can't be doing with that. I don't even know what this means. I'm not German. You can probably tell that by how I speak, and my lack of ability to speak German will probably also come to that conclusion. Will the MiG-28 skin come to console? I believe how it usually goes is if you purchase the pack within about 2 weeks of it being available, you will get the pre-order bonus that's on PC, so you can definitely get it. From what I understand, maybe I can't really say that's absolutely concrete, but that's pretty much what what I think is sort of happening with that kind of thing. You might have to double check, but I think that's how it is right now. Um, use tanks. Well, it's it's really difficult. I mean, I always like saying China is a good one to start out with because they contain lots of different play styles. But what I would do if you are thinking of picking that is if you were to pick China, pick it with the intention of picking another nation after you play like through the first like 2 3 tiers, because the benefit of China in itself is that it offers a lot of vehicles that play very differently, so lots of different play styles. Um, so if you play it for up to tier 2 or tier 3, and you look at spading every vehicle, which is getting all the modifications on it, you can work out from there what vehicles you really like playing. If you can identify a vehicle that you really like from the Chinese tree, there is probably another nation that offers more vehicles that play like that. And the benefit of going through China as a sort of introductory nation to other nations is that if you were to completely focus on, say, I don't know, Germany or Russia and realize you don't like it, you've then spent time you can't really get back in focusing on something else. But if you just go through China and say you play a certain amount and you realize, oh, this nation has, well, this tank has a round I really like or a playstyle I really like, then you can use that vehicle as a sort of introductory to the other nations. So there are Russian tanks, American tanks in that tree that you can sort of play, and if you like it, sure, then you know what to focus on. And that's probably what I would go for personally if I were to start out. Um, but in any case, I mean, you can just go what interests you, and it sort of as well largely depends on what you want from the game in general. Like if your kind of goal with the game is to get to the end of the tier, like to get to top tier, or if your goal is to just spade stuff, unlock stuff. I mean, it depends on you mostly, but that's probably what I'd recommend if you are looking at sort of dedicating a bulk of time to the game itself. That's probably what I would go for. Um, is this real right now? Um, I suppose that depends on your definition of real. I think probably. Um, like, interestingly, I said that out loud when I read another comment saying, "What do I want from War Thunder? Philosophy with tomes." There we go. That's sort of accidentally doubling up. There we go. Wonderful. Um, Russian tanks? Question mark? Question mark? Question mark? Question mark? Yep. Russian tanks. That's a statement, I suppose, and certainly not an invalid one. Uh, someone answer my question. What was your question? I'm unsure as to what that was. Uh, hey, I remember when I asked how to play the 109K4, your help has helped. Oh, brilliant! Thank you. I'm glad that helped. Yes, very good. I'm very glad to hear this. Uh, when dev stream? Not sure. Probably not too far off. I don't actually know though. Right now, I'm afraid. Oxy, what's your favorite coastal boat? I haven't played them for a while. I've got them all spaded. I think apart from the new Russian one, the sort of the chunky one. I really like the PR206s. They're very very good. Versatile to the point where you can sort of meet destroyers and just like bully them, which is really fun. Um, but I do quite like. There's one. There's an Italian one I quite like with the 40 mils on it, which was quite good. Not exactly the most I guess amazing ship all in all, but it was fun to play. I'd probably have to think about it. Um, what's the UFO? Yeah, I've seen the pictures of that. That was quite funny. I've no idea what it is. Could be anything. When will Australia be added? I don't know. I mean, there are Australian vehicles. Maybe they will be added in the same sort of way as being supplementary to the British tree. I'm not sure. No idea. Uh, what have we got? Devblog when? I don't think there's one today. Maybe there will be. There is sort of some news will be occurring today, which, well, not really news, I guess, but just something that people like to get involved with. I don't believe that's happened yet, so I'm sure it'll be very apparent when it does. When does egg get added? That's a very, very good comment. I'm not sure. Maybe it will in some capacity. although I'm not particularly sure in what capacity it would be. But very funny, nevertheless. Just eggs will haunt me forever now. I can't escape. I can never escape from any eggs. Absolutely awful. It sort of defines me now. It's part of my personality, which is a nightmare. Um, when America F5E? Don't know. Maybe. Can't speak to any new stuff, I'm afraid. What are you allowed to tell us regarding the update? Nothing really in particular. Just that it will arrive at some point and be quite nice, hopefully. I quite like this update. I mean, it contains a lot of things that aren't on their own necessarily like hyper interesting, but there is a lot of things that fill gaps that a lot of people wanted filled for a while, which is really nice. So I think it would spoil the fun a bit if I told you exactly what was coming, but sort of rest assured that there will be things being added that will, I think, make a lot of people quite happy, I think, which is pretty good. Nothing sort of, well, I don't know, I can't say. There are things that are, it's difficult to talk about in a sort of quantifiable sense as what might be really interesting to me may be kind of boring to someone else. So, yeah, there's not an easy way to describe it, but there are interesting things coming, which is very, very good. Very nice. Excellent. Do you know anything that you can't tell us? Yes, I certainly do. Can't speak to the F-14 or the Warthog or the Eurofighter or any of these other comments. I can't really add anything there. Excuse me. How old are you? I don't really know. I sort of forget. I think I'm sort of in my early 20s, although I could be 30. I don't know. I'm going really grey. You can't really see it, but I've got loads of grey hairs coming through. I think in the last few months I've like quadrupled the grey hairs, which is awful. So maybe I am really old. I don't know. Madness. Oxy, if Gaijin added some proper tier 4 SPA for USR, I could maybe get back into playing tanks. Yeah, I mean, there's certainly things they could add. One thing that I would quite like is there's a BTR 152, I think 4 is it called? Instead of having the dual KPVTs, it's a quad, which is really, really nice. And I hope we get that at some point. I think it'd be pretty easy to add as well because, I mean, it's just adding a couple more guns, I guess. So that would be pretty nice. I don't know when that's, well, if it'll come, I don't know. It would be pretty cool if it would because I think that was something that would be quite well liked. I would really like to see that anyway. But yeah, pretty nice. Yeah, there's more things that could be added in terms of anti-air, but I'm not really sure if and when what they could be. Why do my tier 2 Swedish tanks never have pen? I mean, they do, but they don't have great penetration, at least sort of the main vehicles. Like the, what's the name? The EH, the one with the 75mm gun. That thing's okay. From my experience, it wasn't like overwhelmingly powerful. The APHE didn't have the best penetration, but the AP on it's pretty decent. I mean, it works decently well, but not really in up tiers, I guess. But it's yeah, the PK, is it PK VK? One of those combinations of words, much like all other names in the world, are yeah, that thing's really, really good. I would really get that thing if you are going through Sweden. Really, really great vehicle. I enjoyed my time playing that a lot. I'm not allowed to tell you if a vehicle like that is coming. I can't tell you any particulars. And the thing is, you don't really want me to tell you. I think that would sort of suck the fun out of it if I did that. Yeah, it's nice sort of having vague information about what could be coming rather than knowing what's coming, because then it's like, it kind of, it's not as interesting. It's not as fun. More Polish vehicles? No idea. Maybe at some point. They do have some cool stuff. You work to War Thunder? Yeah, I work for Gaijin over in Germany. Pretty fun time. I enjoy myself. Do lots of interesting, good stuff. I cannot speak to all these new things. I mean, you can ask me over and over, but I cannot sort of give you an answer, I'm afraid, which is a shame. Um, you know, I can't really give you any information that would be worthwhile on that front. But if you want to know how to play a certain vehicle, then I'm your human for that. I don't know why I said that as an implication that I wasn't human. I am. That's my Mark Zuckerberg moment. Um, let's see. What shampoo do you use? I think it's like some. I don't know. It's blue and it has Moroccan in the name. It's quite good. It makes your hair quite soft. But I don't sort of use it too much because then if your hair gets too soft, it sort of gets annoying to deal with. Actually, have you played the SK105 yet? I personally loathe the thing. Yeah, it's not. I think it needs to be played in a very particular way to get the most out of it. I haven't played it very much, but it's a really interesting vehicle for what it is. I mean, being that high a tier with no stabilizer is pretty interesting for a vehicle, like such like the M48 G2A or GA2, whichever one that is. They need to be played quite carefully, but if you can get that thing to the right spot, like make the best use of the map, it can be really, really good. But it is a sort of supplementary vehicle in that sense, in that if you play it on every map, it's probably not going to do too well. You need to kind of utilize the flanking routes for a vehicle like that. As if you meet enemies head on, you're going to be meeting enemies with a full stab, which is not going to work out too well. So it needs to be played quite carefully in that sense. Yeah, I don't think it's like the most impressive vehicle ever, but I like vehicles that have like a very niche but very applicable advantage to them. Like having, even if the performance of the vehicle itself has a lot of drawbacks, but if it has like, really quick reload or like really good round, but like falls back in other areas, those vehicles are really fun. Because if you can kind of dedicate the time to mastering how they work, you can get so much out of them. And I think in terms of playing the game and the gameplay that it offers, like those kind of vehicles are really, really fun. But on its own, yeah, I can agree. It's not necessarily the most incredible vehicle on its own. Um, yeah. Yeah, if you have any questions like that, that's sort of my remit, as it were. Uh, but yeah, I can't tell you about any new stuff unless new news arrives. I don't think anything has arrived yet. Let's see. I keep refreshing the news on my phone. I don't think there is any more dev blogs coming today. Actually, maybe there are. I don't think there is, but maybe. Obviously, like the Scent Aviary on paper, it's not effective, but the fun and terror cause. Yeah, exactly. It's I like those vehicles because it's kind of a pretentious thing to think about, I guess, but vehicles that have a more less tangible advantage like that, like a kind of psychological advantage, really interesting. Like the KV2. The KV2 appears more dangerous than it is, and I think I mentioned this in the guide I did on it, in that if you if an enemy kind of sees you, like the way I kind of always worked out while playing is that people know that that thing has like a 30 to 40 second reload, but if you fire and you're kind of sitting there static for like 15 seconds, enemies will still be afraid to push you because their fear of like being hit by the KV2 sort of trumps their kind of rationalization of working out that it probably hasn't reloaded yet. And it's really interesting to me how prevalent that is. And that's something you can notice if you play it a lot, which is really, really interesting. And I like vehicles like that. The Scent Aviary sort of has the same feeling. It's like people get afraid afraid of it to the point where they can't really, they lose kind of their abilities to rationalize that it probably can't fire back yet, which is pretty cool. I like things like that. It adds more depth to the gameplay, and I quite like that. Um, can you tell us when dev blogs will drop? I can't really. I mean, sometimes they're generally scheduled in advance, but I mean, it can change like on a daily thing. People can think about it like, hey, let's put another one in today. So it can change, within hours or whatever. But most of the time, it's sort of rigorously scheduled, but depends on multiple other things. Yeah, I can't really say to that front, I'm afraid. What is the best way to play the ASU85? Very passively. That's a vehicle that has very little, well, not really very little, I guess, but not a lot of versatility in what it does best. I think vehicles in War Thunder that have poor mobility and poor armor are the worst, well, not the worst, but the most difficult to play. They need the most kind of I guess, dedication in terms of working out where they should be to be played, really. So a vehicle like that is very difficult because by design, it does nothing for you. The mobility won't let you get to areas in the map where the firepower works effectively, and the armor won't save you if you get caught out. So the onus of making a vehicle like that work is entirely on you. There's no hand-holding for it, really. So it sort of requires a fair bit of map knowledge to be used effectively. But when you do know the maps and you do know roughly what to do with it, it can work really, really well because the gun is great. It's got the Heat FS round, which can work against anything, and the APHE round if you can aim your shots well. The main detriment really to it is in terms of firepower, is that it has a very low magnification, so it can be a bit hard to aim over distances, but it does have a optical rangefinder as well, which can help in that regard. Playing it at the long ranges is certainly the best way to go because you get absolutely no benefit whatsoever to playing at close range. There's nothing tangible. There's no hard benefits. Like the way I always describe it is that in a vehicle like this is that there is no hard benefit to playing at close range. A soft benefit would be that if you play at close range, you'll see more enemies and then get more kills. Potentially, which is a soft benefit, is it's not something that will always come into play. Hard benefit is that, at close range, your armor is less effective because you're easier to hit, and your gun is underutilized because at long range you can pretty much penetrate everything anyway, so playing at close range doesn't really offer you anything tangible in terms of what the vehicle can do. And when you kind of keep that in mind, playing at long range is really the way to go for it. So that is really what I would consider doing. Apart from that, it really depends on the map you're on and what round you want to main. The Heat round is more reliable in that everything you hit you will damage pretty much, but it will one-shot less. The APHE is much better at one-shotting. The power of the APHE round is pretty similar to like the German Long 88. It's like has different caveats, but if you were to compare it to a kind of understood analog, that's what I would compare it to. So the power of the round is pretty good, but you need to have the aim to sort of make something like that work. But ultimately, long range is what I would go for, and then it's working out if you want to secure kills or you want to be safe in what you engage and what you hit. And I think the rest of that, sort of the onus, is on you pretty much. But just avoid close range, use ridge lines, that's what I would go for as an absolute. I spoke so much in one go that the sides of my vision are going black. What is that about? I need to sort of drink more water or something. Terrible. Some talk about anime. Terrible. Do you play much planes? Yeah, I've got like, I don't know how many. I mean, apart from some stuff which I've got given to me and like spaded with Golden Eagles, I've spaded like every single aircraft in the game. I've played a huge amount of props, not too many jets. My kind of line of thinking with approaching this game in general is that I don't play the top tier too much because I like understanding kind of how the game works and how vehicles work. And top tier by design constantly changes. It's where there's a lot more kind of onus on development, so it will be in flux a lot more regularly. So if you dedicate a lot of time to understanding the particulars of how that area of the game works, it will be kind of invalidated in a few updates. So I don't play it too much in that time because I think my time for understanding the game can be better spent in areas that are more concrete. So I haven't played jets quite as much, but props I've played a huge amount of, and I'm pretty comfortable in playing any prop and making it work. But with jets, there's a lot more for me to kind of do, I think. Yeah, I play a lot of planes. I really enjoy planes. I think visually I like planes more than tanks, but I like playing tanks more right now. Opinion on Curls and Panzer? I mean, it's not really my thing. I don't really enjoy it too much. Someone told me yesterday that my hair is similar to one of the characters, but I can't remember what their name was or if that's even true. Maybe it is if you know about the show, but yeah, I don't really enjoy that kind of thing very much. I mean, it's fine a bit. I like showing it to people to annoy them, but it's not really like ultimately my thing, I'm afraid. Can you get someone at Gaijin to reclassify the mouths from heavy to dummy thick? That is incredibly funny. I will definitely do this. Yes, you have my blessing. I was going to say word, then I realized I couldn't follow up on it. So I can't do that. Yeah, I don't know. I do not know the names at all. I have no idea who the character is. The hair sort of went out to the sides a bit, and mine does that because it's very thick, so it is very difficult to deal with. Um, uh, your favorite prop fighter? Oh Christ. Mm, Probably the BF109 E7 or E4 or the Tempest Mark 5. I love both of them. They're very very gorgeous, like gorgeous planes. Um, yeah. The Tempest was one that I talismaned really early on, back when I was playing on a laptop that could run the game at like 14 FPS. So I really enjoy that. Um, and the E7's really good. I think I've still got like a 1 to 50 KD in that thing. It's perfect. You can play the E7 at like 5.7, like 6.0, and you can still get kills with it. It's a really really good plane. The MGF FMs with the air target belt is just super powerful. I love that plane. Really really good stuff. That's probably what I'd pick. I'm not sure what if I could sort of pick between the two of them, but they're both really nice. Uh, how to not get up tier? You can't really. By sort of the design of the system, only one quarter of any team can have vehicles of the top rank or the top BR of any particular match. So if there's like 16 players aside, only 4 of them can be at the top BR. So by design, the majority of the team is always not going to be at the top BR. That's just sort of how it works. So those in this example, 4 players have the 4 players have the potential to be the top tier, but it's not a guarantee. So it's not that every match will have 4 absolute top tier vehicles, as the 4 players can have the top tier vehicles. But yeah, so you are going to be up tiered more often than not because of how that system works. Yeah, that hopefully that sort of explains it to an extent as to why that relatively happens a bit more commonly. But it depends on what you're playing. Some BR brackets are sort of sucked up a lot, and some are sucked down a bit more because they're sort of rarely played. So it depends on what you're playing and what sort of the flavor of the day is, as it were. So it depends. Vegan dev blog is out. Nice bait. Very good. Send go lad to me. Not sure what that means, I'm afraid. Any summer plans? Not really. I don't really do anything. I'll probably go back to the UK for a bit. I've got a wedding to go to. But apart from that, probably not very much. How to angle the P40? Angle it towards the driver's hatch. It's pretty well. It will save you sometimes. I mean, it's a vehicle that you can actually get away with angling more than you. What's a way to describe this without sounding stupid? You can angle it more than you think you should, because the side armor is actually quite effective in and of itself. So it's like 40 millimeters at an already slanted angle, which is actually pretty good. The lower side armor is a bit weaker, but most people don't shoot for that. So you can get away with angling more than you think. So I would angle a little bit more than you think you need to, and angle towards the driver's port, because that really can catch some shells. That's how I angled it anyway. Yeah, I mean, always angle it a bit. You can get away with doing it, and generally speaking, you can catch a lot of shells doing that. So pretty good, I think. Best loadout for each tier of USA? That's a very broad question. I'm not sure I can sort of answer that as in depth as I'd like to in this stream, I'm afraid. Maybe if you can give me one nation, I can sort of, or one tier, I can give it a go. Yeah, man, this vegan thing is out of control. I cannot speak to anything, I'm afraid. Big shame. That is not my particular area right now, I'm afraid. Can I get an UWU? No, you can't. I'm afraid. No thanks. Not for me. Any tips for calling RT and RB? Someone said spotting for pushes. Yeah, it's really useful for that. Marking the map. It's a sort of proxy advantage of using it. It's great to use that on choke points if you want to see if an enemy is sort of approaching from a particular position. Apart from that, it's quite good early, sort of using it as soon as you spawn in to watch one of the routes into the map or on the cap point if it's being capped by a light tank, because they are obviously more useful at doing that. And yeah, it's more useful. Well, it's more reliable for spotting than it is at killing. So using it in that sense will get you more kind of use out of it. Um, so yeah, it's really good for that. Obviously, it depends on the map and BR and everything, but overall, yeah, spotting's a good way to go. And sort of putting it on areas where you know a light vehicle is, that can get you some kills as well. But yeah, it depends on the map and BR and stuff overall. But yeah, playing it in that sense, it's yeah, pretty good, pretty reliable, pretty good. Uh, any plans to add more SPA to Britain? No idea. I'm not sure. It'd be nice to see them more anti-air, but I don't know if it's sort of planned at the moment. It would be nice though, as they do need something a bit more user friendly, I guess, in terms of actual anti-air work. Like the Crusader IA is pretty good against anti-tank, like more so than anti-air. But yeah, against the air, it's not incredible, pretty much. Uh, um, how can you mark something in RB? You need to be playing a light tank to do that, to mark it for the map. Otherwise, you can mark the map by holding M or using your free cursor button and clicking on the map itself, and that will mark it on the map as a sort of universal marker for your team. Yeah, if you're in a squad as well, there's a keybinder set up to mark particular areas just for your squad, which is really good, like really useful. So there's three ways to do it effectively, all depending on what vehicle you're in and what you're sort of playing as, etc., etc. So yeah, lots of ways to do it. I can't read that comment, but it's very funny. Hopefully you know the one I mean. Um, thoughts on Big Vampire Lady? I mean, it's incredibly funny how one character has effectively sort of come brain to the internet. That's brilliant. I love that. Um, I'm not really interested in the game. I've never really played much of Resident Evil, but it's very funny. So it has a big thumbs up from me in that sense. Um, uh, oh, these comments are getting amazing. Okay. What's your favorite British vehicle? Probably the Churchill Mark III. I don't know why. I really like it. It fits me. I like slow vehicles because I can sort of watch a film while I'm playing. I usually do that, or listen to music or something. The Churchill's good because you can sort of play it at your own pace, and then on that basis, kind of, it's got a really good cruise control. The gun is great, great reload, great penetration. You just need to kind of angle a lot, and on that basis, you can do pretty well. I like it. I'd probably go with that overall. But there's so much stuff in the British Crew that's pretty good. Um, yeah, it's great for killing R3s as well. It's almost immune to them, which is pretty great. I'm a fan of that. How do you play the Tiger 2P in RB and AB? Angle your turret a lot. Uh, the turret's quite bouncy if you know what to do with it. If you keep that thing on the move and angle your turret, like swing it around, it becomes really difficult for enemies to penetrate. Well, not really difficult, obviously. If an enemy knows what they're doing, um, it's not exactly going to stop them if you're fighting someone that's sort of quite competent. But if you keep on the move, swing the turret around, make yourself a difficult target to penetrate, then it works really well. You can play at long range and close range. It depends how you want to play. Long range is more reliable, of course, and the best thing about doing that is that if you are really good with your reaction times, if you're playing it like over a mile away and you see an enemy fire, you can angle your turret to accommodate for the incoming round, which you need to be pretty like on the ball to do that, but it can be really satisfying because it really annoys people to play that way. So yeah, it depends on you really, and what sort of you want to, well, how you want to play effectively, but keep on the move, keep angling your turret, and keep moving it around as well. And that's sort of the universal constant to play a vehicle like that, is what I would sort of say from the offset. What I would gay, yes, very nice. Absolute peak conversation here. Uh, how to STB1? It's a really good vehicle. The full stabilizer at 7.7 is great. The Armor, well, armor. No, the armor's pretty good on its own. You can bounce a lot of the APHE rounds you'll still meet, like the German 88s, the 100s from the Russians. You can bounce sometimes, and yeah, there's a lot you can do with it. The main detriment really is the reload. It's sort of artificially longer than I think it should be, although there are sort of statistics to back that up. I always say that word. I always like stagger when I say statistics because I speak very quickly. So it's yeah, kind of an annoying word for me to say, but yeah, it's difficult to brawl with it in that sense because basically every enemy, apart from the Russian T-54s, will outmatch your reload. So if you mess up a shot, you are going to get hit back before you can reload, unless your enemy has a really poor um, reload speed, like really poor stat. So yeah, it's that's a difficult way to play it. So, and it also means that playing on the flanks is a little bit difficult, as you know, a vehicle on the flanks needs to be able to fire very, very quickly and take advantage of enemies that are unaware of you. There's a lot of downtime in firing in the STB playstyle because of the reload. So it gives more time for enemies to become aware of you and then like counter you in that sense. So being aggressive is really good, especially at 7-7 if you are playing in a 7-7 match, because not a lot of enemies are going to have a stabilizer. So that means that if you meet an enemy on the move head on, you can get the first accurate shot on them, which is really, really good. And that's a good way to take advantage of it. But of course, that depends on you as a player. Like if you're comfortable with being aggressive, some players probably aren't quite as comfortable with being aggressive. So it depends. But I think you need to make use of its universal, well, its sort of unique advantages. And the stabilizer at the tier is a unique advantage. And if you can put yourself in a situation where that is being put to work, then you are getting the most out of the vehicle. Everything else really depends on you, like your map knowledge, your placement. Everything else is sort of supplementary. Like the armor works, but it only sort of like armor is only ever as effective as the competence of your enemy. Like if you fight someone that knows all the weak spots, you can't really do anything unless you're sort of keeping on the move and you're angling, etc. But if you're not really doing anything, the onus is on your enemy to defeat your armor. There's not really a lot of active influence you can have on making your enemy not be able to penetrate it if they know where to shoot you. So relying on it in that sense is a bit difficult. So you can rely on the stabilizer, you can rely on the armor, but you can't rely on the you can rely on the ammo, excuse me, the firepower. Can't rely on the armor or the reload really. So yeah, if you can sort of use those aspects as sort of supplementary advantages and use the active advantages being the firepower, the mobility, and the reload, no, the stabilizer. So many things to keep in track of in my mind right now. That's probably the way you need to go. And I would probably keep it aggressive if you can, but don't really put yourself in a situation where you're going to be fighting multiple enemies at once. For the reason being that you don't have the reload to fight multiple enemies fighting at you because you are going to get caught out before you can counter both of them, most likely. So yeah, hopefully those some sort of sporadic nuggets of information I can sort of add in there, which is hopefully useful. Dev stream when? I don't know when that will be. Maybe Thursday when we do the sort of duo stream, but probably not. Probably just be a regular one. Maybe soon. I don't know. I don't know when that's scheduled. Sort of when everything's available to have a look at, which is always quite fun. But I don't know when that will be. I'm afraid right now. Also, I'm going to break the mold here because one of my colleagues got me a malt beverage, so I will be consuming this for a bit. I quite like these. I thought I'd hate them because I've had a sort of malt beverage before, and it just tasted like you're drinking like old carpet, which was not really high up my list of delicacies. So yeah, it's like a sort of malt chocolate thing. I don't know really why it's so prevalent. It's not alcoholic. It looks like it is, but it isn't. It's just sort of chocolate and, well, chocolatey and malty. Pretty nice, I think. Oxy, do you approve of? I don't know what that is. No idea. Delineate for me. P1101, 262, HG, or ME263 soon? No idea. That would be pretty good though. I like those vehicles. The ME 263, was it Schul? Scholle? I don't know how to pronounce it, but that's a really cool plane. Yeah, I'd like to see them in game, but I don't know if it's really in the vision of the game's development. So yeah, I'm not sure on that front. But it would be cool to see those. They're really nice aircraft. And in my sort of perspective, I mean, even though they're not vehicles that were sort of, well, the 263 was made and sort of flew, but not at its final version capacity. But yeah, the others, it would be nice to see them because I think, in my perspective, War Thunder is sort of the perfect experience to bring those sort of historically designed designs to sort of to life, you know, and let them kind of work and be experienced in like the best environment for it. And I love the aspect of that. I love that a game can do that to a kind of period concept. I think that's really nice. So I would like to see them in the future, but I don't really think. Well, I don't know if it's sort of in the vision right now. I love them. I think they're really interesting planes. Some of the most interesting. But yeah, I don't know if it's likely to see them anytime soon. I'm afraid. 263 is a discount 163. Not really. It's like a heavier, chunkier Comet. It just had a higher fuel load, really. So it would counter that drawback of the Comet, but I don't believe it was as maneuverable because it was heavier. But it's a really cool plane. I think, what was its nickname? Flatfish, I think? Something like that. I can't really remember. Flat something. I'll breathe again now. But not breathe while I drink, because that's a sort of a recipe for disaster. Soviet steel is best. I don't quite know about that. Maybe. I'm not sort of a steel expert, as many pertain to be. What do you think about the P-51? Which one? There are many. Some I like. Some I like all of them, really. I don't know if there's a particular one I really don't like. Yeah, which one? Let me know. Any tips on the M4A176W in RB? The Sherman, the long barrel Sherman, I think in my mind is probably the ultimate gatekeeping tank. In that it's, if you know what you're doing with the game, you can do a lot with it. And if you're quite new to the game, there's not a lot you can do with it. It doesn't do a lot for you, but it has a lot of advantages you can potentially make use of. The round isn't good enough to point and click at a lot of enemies, but if you know where to aim, it one-shots a lot. The armor isn't really good unless you angle and keep on the move and know what you're doing. And the stabilizer only really comes into effect if you're playing it in such a way that utilizes it. So on its own, there's nothing that the Sherman really does for you in a way that, say, the KV-1 does a lot for you because the armor will keep you alive without you needing to really do anything. The Sherman doesn't really do any of that. So you need to put a lot of effort into utilizing the advantages it has, which makes it a vehicle that is quite difficult to use initially, if you are not really quite as confident with the game. There's so much to the Sherman. I think when I end up covering it in the video, the segment will be really long. So I'm not sure how I can really streamline it very quickly. But it's a vehicle that works very well aggressively because it's one of the only vehicles that has such a good stabilizer at the tier. It's a 24 kilometer an hour stabilizer. Excuse me. Up to that speed, it will keep its full stabilization. So if you meet an enemy on the move, you'll be able to fire at them first accurately. They can probably fire at you first, but not as accurately. But this is where the other thing comes in. There are basically, I guess the three aspects all come into play using this example. So let's say you are rolling around a corner and you meet a Tiger H1 on the move. And the Tiger's slightly angled and it's coming towards you at a decent speed. And you say, okay, if you are doing nothing actively to make the Sherman work, then for example, you will be unangled, you will be moving quite speedy. So let's say mid 30s in the kilometer range. So your stabilizer isn't active and you don't really know how to best utilize your gun. So if you're on the move like that, you may very well look at the Tiger, point and click, and because you haven't aimed, you might miss. And because you're unangled, the Tiger can then stop, stabilize the gun, fire back, and knock you out in one shot. So in this example, there are three things you kind of, this hypothetical, there are three things you could have done to avoid that situation. And one of them is to maintain your speed in your cruise control that you are around the 24 km/h mark if you're playing around an area where you may meet an enemy. And that's always a really good thing to do. And always to keep slightly angled as well. One thing that I like to do if I'm moving from point A to point B is approach that goal destination at an angle pre-aimed. So instead of like driving directly straight, I will drive at sort of an angle and then an angle and an angle, kind of like a zigzag. So that if I do meet an enemy, I don't need to waste the time in angling. I'm already angled effectively. So in this example, if you were to keep around this speed, your gun is completely level. You have the armor to deflect a frontal shot from an 88, which you can do in the Sherman, by the way. And if you know where to shoot the Tiger H1, you can definitely do that even if it's angled. There are ways and places you can engage and shoot. So the two things that really happen when you're fighting an enemy on the move is either they rush a shot that's unaimed and likely miss if you're angled, which you can do on the Sherman. If you're unangled, it can go right through the front plate. If you are angled, it can potentially bounce on the mantlet, which is deceptively strong in the right areas. And if you are angled, it can bounce off the front. Or if you spend too long lining up your shot, the tank can obviously return fire. So if you're maintaining your speed around that of the stabilizer, you can fire back first. And if you know where the weak points on the Tiger are with the Sherman 76mm gun, you can definitely do that. The Cupola is a good shot. The round has the explosive filler to be able to defeat the turret crew through the Cupola. You can generally go through the front plate, unless the tank is hyper angled. At that point, you can go through the lower side as well. Or you can shoot for the gun because the muzzle brake is very big. That way you can go through the left or right side of the turret itself. So that was a very long-winded explanation of one particular hypothetical that probably won't happen as I've described it. But hopefully from that explanation, you can kind of work out what I mean in that the advantages of the Sherman only really come into play if you're aware of them and you actively utilize them. And I think once you kind of know those aspects of where to use the gun, keeping yourself angled and keeping around the stabilization speed, you can get so much out of it. So much out of it. And that's probably a kind of roundabout way that I describe how it works. Frosty Peas, nope, that is wrong, I'm afraid. Sorry. Why is Hellcat and others a light tank now? I think there was a way that it was described on the forum, or sort of on the post about it that described it better. From what I remember, it was that those vehicles functionally are more similar to light vehicles and medium tanks for the Charioteer and the Avenger and the British tree to tank destroyers, as tank destroyers sort of limited their potential in a game sense. So they were changed to sort of accommodate for what they were, rather than a sort of outdated designation for them. And I think, because historically they were TDs, but I think as they didn't function like the conventional TD in the game, they were changed on that basis. So yeah, that's from what I remember. Yep. You have 7,432 hours? No. Very much not true. What's your favorite ground tech tree? Probably America, I would say. Just because they have so many playstyles available to them, or like overall. There are a lot of nations that are sort of universally held back by one particular feature. For example, Russia almost universally has poor gun depression, apart from a couple of vehicles. Like the reserve vehicles have okay gun depression. The IT-1 can depress the gun, but a lot of them don't. So they are severely limited by the maps they play on, which is a very big limiting factor to how the maps work in regards to those vehicles. America has so many different play styles that in any sort of situation, if you can construct a lineup that works, that is versatile and has everything you need to kind of approach any situation in a decent way, it's my favorite tree because you can play anything and be able to have some impact that works. And I think I really like the American tree for that. That's probably what I'd go for. I think the biggest detriment they have right now is that they have no vehicle in the mid tiers that works in up tiers. I think what would be great for America to have is a vehicle around 5.7 that can beat the armor that those vehicles meet in up tiers. Because right now they just have the Jackson, which is fine, but if you meet a Jagdtiger or a KTH, um, there is no vehicle you could even potentially take it out frontally. You could obviously use the APCR on the Jackson or the Sherman actually, but I mean, how likely is that going to be workable? You can do it, of course, but the chance of you actually getting into that situation and it doing enough damage for you to defeat the enemy is not quite reliable enough. And I think it would be great if they had something around that BR to sort of work in up tiers. They don't need something in terms of, it's not like an absolute requirement. You could argue, for example, that the Hellcat is good enough because it can utilize its mobility to get around them, which is true to an extent, but the map doesn't always allow for that to happen. I think like some really big artillery gun would be great to have in that sort of area. But I don't know. That's what I'd say. That's what I'd say they're missing at that BR is something that can sort of be used in up tiers to be able to counter the vehicles that everything else will struggle against. Because like I think personally, I like that there are vehicles that some vehicles can't deal with frontally at all because it sort of forces you to engage in a certain way, which I kind of like. I think that's a sort of an opinion that not a lot of people will share. That's sort of a thing for me because I think I approach the way I approach the game is that I like situations like that. I have this distinct memory of playing with some friends at American 5.7, and I remember we were against a couple of Jagdtigers and a KT and a Ferdinand, and it's like, right, what do we do? And you actually have to kind of switch your brain on and work out how to use your vehicles to the best of their ability to beat a kind of an enemy that sort of on the surface completely trumps you effectively. And I like being put in situations where you need to kind of use what you have effectively to the point where you can beat something. I don't like just playing the game in the sense where you can point and click. I think for most people, that is a fairer way to kind of say that you should be able to do that. Because, I mean, you know, it's a game and it should be fun and you should be able to kind of be in a situation where you can do something. So I think for a lot of people won't share that sentiment, and I think that's completely fine. I don't expect many people to kind of agree with me on that, but I do like that you can play a vehicle and meet something frontally that you can't necessarily frontally penetrate. I just think that it adds something to gameplay, and it's like if you're playing a vehicle and you meet an enemy in that situation, then maybe you've done something wrong. And on that sense, it kind of forces you to play a bit more carefully. Like for example, like if I'm playing the 75 M4A3 Sherman at 6.7, I know there are enemies that I can't beat frontally, so I will play differently to counter that. And I like that that's a kind of thing that the game makes me do because it forces you to improve. And the skills that you learn in knowing that you can fight something that you need to approach carefully to beat makes you better at the game. And I like that on that sense. But yeah, so I think on that basis, I think it's not like the most detrimental thing in the world that America doesn't have anything to counter vehicles at 5.7. But it would be very nice if they did. I'm not sure what they could add. Probably some like big artillery gun. I know they had a lot of them. That could be possible. I don't know if that's a playstyle necessarily that is being looked at to add into the game. I don't know, but it would be very nice if it were to be because those things are kind of fun. So we'll see, perhaps. This malt beverage is actually quite nice. I undersold it to myself before, but that was actually pretty fine. Pretty fine. Pretty Gucci, as they say. What do you think of early British MBTs like the Cent Mark III? Incredibly good. They are hugely versatile tanks. I mean, they don't react very well to being misplayed, but they are really great in my sense, but in sort of my perspective, because they work incredibly well in up tiers. They have the stabilizer to defeat vehicles that have no stabilizer, and they have a gun that can sort of penetrate roughly everything decently reliably. The reload's very quick as well, and they offer a lot. The armor is good enough to be able to deal with enemies with weaker guns that you may perhaps meet, which is really, really nice. And yeah, they're really workable, and I really like them. The repair cost is quite high, but if you play them carefully, they will do a lot for you. Obviously, that's a very easy thing for me to say, and like disconnected from in practice, where you can play the vehicles perfectly and still lose. So that's never really a universally applicable concept. But in general, if they're played well and played to their strengths, they will do a lot for you. And on that basis, they're really, really good tanks. Really, really good. So I'm a big fan. Big fan. Tiger H1 is a good tank, but the playbase is almost stupid. A bold claim. But I sort of know what you mean. I think the Tiger is just, I mean, this is like the age-old question of, this is what you'd really, I guess, write on War Thunder's epitaph is about the Tiger 1. I think it's just a vehicle, again, like the Sherman, does very little for you if you don't play it right. It needs to be, it needs to have a lot sort of done, like active involvement from you as a player to make it work. And I think by the time players get it, they haven't really learned how to best utilize it. Because, and as well, I think it's the first vehicle in the German tree, at least, apart from like one or two premiums, that you will get benefit from angling. Because before this, the Tiger, you have the Panzer IIIs in the line, and if you angle those, you're making the overmatchable side armor way easier to get through. So the game doesn't condition you to play the Tiger in the way it should play by the time you unlock it. So the learning curve by that point is quite sort of steep, and I think it really has to be, unless there's another vehicle before the Tiger that will force players to play in that way. And it's one of the only vehicles that I guess really requires angling to that point. I think you can angle the Panzer IIIs, and I think angling them and the Panzer IVs as well to a tiny degree can work. I do it. I angle them a little bit because it can throw off the enemy's aim. But yeah, like there are some premiums, of course, but I'm not really counting those. Like, the captured KV-1s and stuff that you need to angle, but everything else you don't. And I think the game, I guess, does not do a great job of conditioning a player to approach the Tiger in a good way. But that's not really the game's fault, because it sort of relies on historical vehicles, and there aren't any other vehicles that could really be utilized before that. So yeah, it's in a difficult place, and I think you can't kind of be that unkind to the players who play it, because there's always like a lot of gatekeeping in this community in terms of using vehicles right. And I mean, there are players who aren't really doing anything wrong in their approach of the game in like failing to play something perfectly. And I think that's kind of an issue driven by the community itself, disconnected from the vehicle. And but I think it's difficult. I mean, players, I think, shouldn't really be expected to use a vehicle like that perfectly. War Thunder is an incredibly complicated game in that sense. And I think, just try not to be too unkind to people that don't know what they're doing, because it's not exactly their fault. You know what I mean? It is their fault. They are at fault for doing something incorrectly, which is utilizing them to lose. But it isn't their fault for approaching the game in such a way where they're not utilizing their tool the most effectively. Because, War Thunder as a game is incredibly difficult in the sense of knowing exactly what to do from the offset with everything you have. It's not like Call of Duty where every gun is different, but every gun does the same job. Like in War Thunder, it's like having a huge toolbox of things that all basically do a job, but do the same job differently. And, you can't use a spanner to, screw in a screw. You need to be able to use it effectively. You can kind of do it if you whack the screw enough with the spanner, you'll get a result, but it's not going to be very pretty, and it's not going to really be as effective as it could be. So I think, if you see a Tiger player not angling, maybe help them out and don't, give them a verbal colonic, because that's not exactly very nice. And I think it's good for the sort of health of the community as a whole to kind of, just be kind to those people. It costs nothing. It's it's very, very simple to do, and it's a thing I think a lot of people should try doing more. Ecopsy, the way I'm counting it is activity time. So there's a difference between having your game an AFK state. The time that's counted is any time where you are actively doing something. So if you're in the hangar doing stuff, it counts. And any time you are in-game counts. I believe the in-game time counts if you're not doing anything. Like if you're sitting in a corner or you're like AFK climbing, it will count. But as long as you're tabbed into the game and there is an active process happening, it counts. But it doesn't count Steam time, because I don't play on Steam, and it doesn't count time you're AFK'd in the hangar or just have the game on. So, by that extension, it's impossible to find out using external tools, which is very fun. So no one can guess it without actually guessing properly, which is quite fun. I like that. Um, yes. Girls and Thunder. When? What is the? Oh, I see. I have no idea. Uh, I don't know. That would make me very sad. I'm not someone that's sort of. I'm not a person of culture in that sense. Um, I'm afraid. So I cannot speak to the particulars of such an inclusion. I'm afraid. What is your favorite anime? I don't know. I haven't really watched any. I've watched like four in my life, and they were all okay because I deliberately picked ones that I knew I'd like. Um, I liked Evangelion, obviously. I liked Cowboy Bebop. Although I don't really count those as anime, because I watched them like on. I can't remember what I watched them on. It was like some show that showed like Pokemon and stuff. Like I don't count that in my head as anime. But I like those a lot. I liked Made in Abyss. That was really good. I love world building like that and kind of going to a place that's really different. I love that. So that was quite cool. And like those are the three that I've seen, and they were all okay. But I mean, I haven't really seen any. Um, I don't really like the whole overall vibe. It's not really for me. But those are cool. I like those. Yep. Everything else was a bit sort of not my kind of jam. I wanted to say jam and deal, but deal doesn't work as a word. Sounds a bit like congeal, which is not a nice word at all. Um, where am I from? I am from Great Britain. Well, Great Britain. Sort of an egotistical name to sort of call your country. I'm from the UK. From Kent, in the southeast, southeast. Um, what does this even mean? These are some interesting words we have here. Favorite way to grind SL? There's not an easy answer because the answer depends almost entirely on you. And the best answer really is to play something you enjoy. Literally play something you enjoy. Either get a premium vehicle that you like playing or a lineup you like playing. Because if you are effectively just playing to, pile up SL, you are, you're treating the game like a task rather than something to enjoy and unwind with. I mean, obviously, it can be synonymous to accumulate the like SL and have fun. Like they aren't necessarily, you know, not like either or. Like it becomes like a job to do it, and you can still enjoy that job if you know what I mean. Like it's not universally like if you are playing just to get SL, you're not having a fun time. But approaching the game in such a way where you just have a task to do is never really very fun. So if you play a lineup you like, you will have fun and you'll play more and you'll accumulate more lions by playing something you like. Either it be like a fighter you really like or a bomber. Like the JU 288 is a really good thing to play because you can like watch a movie while you play it and have an almost guaranteed SL income by like reaching a base before you're counted. So that's certainly something you can do. But it's just play something you enjoy. That's really the benefit that you can get. There's nothing else really better than that. As long as you enjoy what you're doing, you'll want to keep playing it. And if you're enjoying it, you're probably doing well. And if you're doing well, you're earning more resources, and do it like that. That's my best answer, really. I think. Um, why does the auto rangefinder only happen in Sim? I think it's just a Sim feature to keep it more sort of usable, to have more of a tangible impact. I think in RB it will become, I guess, too prevalent, and it will be too easy as a mechanic. In Sim, you still need to compensate for the the uh, parallax of the gun, which kind of adds some development to it. If it was in RB, it would literally just be press button, point and click, which would make top tier gameplay even easier than it already is in terms of clicking on enemies. So I don't think it would be like super user. Well, it'll be user friendly, but I don't think it would add much in terms of the depth of gameplay. So I would imagine that's why it's only in Sim, but I don't ultimately know. That's probably what I go with though. Um, oh, good comments. Good comments today. Having a whale of a time. Uh, How is your only? Okay, come on now. None of this business. None of this business. Um. The OnlyFans has begun again. There's a moment where it sort of comes up with like everyone at once going on it. Everyone at once. Um. No, not right now. Maybe I could do something funny with it if I got one, but I think having one, even ironically, sets the wrong precedent. So maybe not. Um, how to not lose my sanity unlocking a freaking T72. That would depend on how you are playing the game and what vehicle you're playing to unlock it. Give me the deets and I will try and assist. Uh, how do you acquire the Scotland flag decal? It's been available in the past for St Andrew's Day. I don't think it was available for last year's St Andrew's Day, but it was for the one before. Uh, I think, yeah, maybe it'll be around again for that. I'm not particularly sure. I don't know why I did that with my eyes then. That made me get a tiny headache. Amazing. Yeah, maybe. I mean, it's a really inconsequential thing. So maybe if you kind of like asked about it, I think it's one of those things that it's like if the team think, oh, that'll be cool to do, they'll do it. But if there's too many things going on, it's not like a proactive thing. They'll say, yes, Scotland flag now. That was a very sort of vibraty time we had there. Amazing. Look at that. Look at that. It's like I'm fading out of reality. That'd be nice. Yeah, maybe ask on the forum or whatever if it can come back for St Andrew's Day. I'm not sure. Give it a go. Um, could we see more Dutch planes in the future? Certainly possible. I don't know on the particulars, but that would be cool. They have some very interesting aircraft. Um, when you learn the tiger, you will do great. Yes, I agree. I love. Sorry, that's just my Binyot voice. I love the Binyot voice, and I really hope someone knows what I'm talking about, and that just doesn't sound stupid. It very well might do. I love it. Um, you should do something with the band Sabaton. Maybe. Like I can appreciate a lot of people like Sabaton. I don't really like it very much though. I think it's just a bit. I don't. I can't listen to it unironically. Is the kindest way I can talk about Sabaton. Like I think like for me, I don't like music that describes a thing. And a lot of Sabaton's music is just like this thing happened and it was really cool, you guys. I promise. And I can't get into it. I just can't get into it at all. It's not really my thing. I like when music's a bit vague. Um, this the way they kind of structure songs is just not really for me. I think, but I can appreciate that a lot of people like it. And I mean, hey, it's like I always say this in the sense that like if you can enjoy something someone else can't, then like you win. You kind of beat me in that sense. You can make yourself happy via something I can't do, which is great. So I'm not trying to say anything bad about the band. I just don't like them very much, and I think I have reasons for that kind of work. So yeah, not really for me, but a lot of people enjoy them. So on that basis, they're a good thing. Absolutely. Who's your favorite music artist? Christ, I think it depends so much on my mood. In that, if I'm in a certain mindset, um, there are some bands that I can't really get into at the time. But there are, I don't know, there's nothing really constant that I really, really like all the time. I like Joanna Newsom a lot. If you look her up, you'll hate her music because a lot of people just can't get it. But I mean, I think initially when I listened to it, I was like, okay, this is what is this? But after a while of kind of making yourself listen to it, it's like it clicks to me now. And yeah, I really like her music a lot. She's very very good. Um, I like Keaton Henson a lot. His stuff is very very intimate, very nice. His artwork is very good as well. Um, I will always like Neutral Milk Hotel because that was the first band I really remember listening to. I had an old iPod with On Avery Island on it, that my mum had. We used to listen to that in the car when going to like the beach and stuff. And I've always liked them just by that album, so that's kind of nice. I don't even know what I like. And I don't really know else. I'll think about it. I'm not sure. There's probably loads more, but I can't really remember them. Uh, I had a rip-off iPod. Yeah, I had like the first one that was like really blocky because my mum's boyfriend at the time like worked as a creative for Apple. Um, so he just got loads of stuff, and it was like gave me this this iPod, and it had like lots of music on it. It had King Crimson, Flaming Lips, Neutral Milk Hotel, the Bees as well. I think it had on it. Can't remember what else. Do you like woman like as a concept or in terms of attraction? Because I never actually know what you mean. Um, yeah, they're pretty great, and there's no way I can answer this question without leaving. No, yes, yes, I do. They're pretty great. So yeah, what a question. Um, yeah, pretty much. Can you make an American Tech Tree guide for your channel? I certainly can. I have all the footage done now. I have all of the script done, apart from the aircraft, which I'll do tonight, I think, when I'm done work for the day. So, yeah, it should be soon. It just depends on when I can do the voiceover because I don't have that much time to do it anymore. But I'll dedicate like a some time to do it whenever I can, and then hopefully it'll be done soon. The video will probably be like an hour or so long. I'm not sure exactly how long it'll be, but probably over an hour. I managed to talk for a stupidly long time about vehicles that are actually kind of, well, you could probably unlock every rank 1 vehicle quicker than it would take to watch the video describing them. So maybe it's a bit over the top, but I like that. I like talking about stuff. But yeah, it should be soon, hopefully. That would be very nice. Nice. If War Tinder was a flavor of cake, what name would it? What type of cake would it be? Abigail X Cake. That is a very apt question coming from you. I'm thinking about this question more than I probably should because I don't know if it has an answer, and also because I don't really have cake. I've had like cake once this year and like once in the last 2 years. I don't know what cake I really like because I'd probably say it was a cake that I liked. I don't know, probably a cake that has lots going on because I mean War Thunder is there's so much to it, so probably lots of flavor. Don't know. Those cakes with the little levels in that are all a bit different. That could be quite nice. But I don't really know enough about cake. Maybe you'll have to teach me the ways. I have no idea. Where's the tea? The tea's here. I just went onto this beverage because one of my colleagues got it for me, so I'm aptly giving it a drink. And I quite like it. Very nice. Can we hear about the accidental leak of the Sea Vixen? I mean, you can. I mean, it will be disingenuous to pretend it hasn't been acknowledged. It has, yep. I guess there'll be more information about it soon. But very pretty plane, though. Very, very nice. I love the look of it. I sold a couple of artworks of the Sea Vixen a while ago, a long time ago now, from the 50s. Very, very nice plane. Like, I think it's one of those things that you either find kind of like ugly or like really kind of pretty. I think it's pretty. I like it. It's like I don't know. I like things that, and I think I say this like literally every stream. But I like things that aren't quite conventional. I guess I've always liked things that are a bit like I don't know, a bit imperfect in terms of like absolute kind of the peak of something. I've always liked that, like in relation to everything. So I think I like things like the Sea Vixen. It's sort of, I don't know, it's nice to me. I like it. I like it. It depends on, hugely subjective as an idea. So Giovanni, my channel is Oxy, OXY. You can look at it if you want, but you don't need to. I don't know if it'll be your thing. It's like, I think, I mean, I don't really yell very much, so I don't hold the attention of many people. It's not like, you'll watch me and it'll be constant like click, click, click of like things happening. I like to kind of try and help people play the game. Or not really play the game, but if someone is kind of new and doesn't really know where to start with like a tank or something, I'll try and kind of help out. But I mean, if you're expecting like constant, back and forth traditional content creator experiences, it probably won't be like that because a lot of people who like that kind of thing will probably find me quite boring, which is completely fair enough. But if you like something a bit more quiet, I guess, then I'm your sort of vessel for that, I guess. I don't know. Um, yeah, try it. Maybe if you like it, you like it. If not, that's totally cool too. Uh, yeah, for Tonk guides, I'm going to scratch my nose on the mic here. I don't know. When I talk a lot, I think I talk so much that I make my nose itchy, which is always quite funny to me. I don't know why that happens, but um, uh, I can't tell you when the next update's coming. Soon though, it'll be quite cool. Um, yeah, soon. No flick baits. Yeah, yeah. I don't really like that whole thing. I mean, it's like I've always thought that if you kind of, I guess clickbait works for some people and some styles of content. Like I don't think it's like I'm not trying to like gatekeep content and say you shouldn't do it because for some content it works. It's like you promise something and you deliver on it. That's cool. That's how it works. But if you promise something you know you can't deliver on, it's like what's the point? So I like making my videos quite matter of fact in the sense that you kind of know what you're getting with them, and it's like, yeah, I've always preferred that, but that's just sort of for me, I guess. It depends. What kind of vehicle do you want to be added? See, the vehicles I like to be added probably wouldn't have much use. I love either weird designs or like massive bombers, and I think massive bombers aren't exactly in the most stable place in terms of the game and how they work. Things like the YB-35 and the YB-49, like the JU-390. I love those planes visually a lot, but they are not hugely kind of applicable to the way the game works right now, so we probably won't see them like for a very long time, if at all. So yeah, those are the kind of things I'd like, and things like the Vickers Wellesley, like low tier, well, stuff that would be low tier, like early designs, like float planes and stuff. I really like um, that kind of thing. I'm a fan of, but yeah, that kind of thing probably. But yeah, overall, just weird stuff. I think I'm overall a fan of, pretty much. Um, Thoughts on the Bolton Paul Defiant? Lovely plane. I mean, not the most useful thing in the world, but I love its application. I feel like in War Thunder, like what I like about that plane and what you'd have to do with it is that it wouldn't play like basically anything else. A fighter with no frontal armament, only having like the quad turret at the back, you'd need to play it in such a unique way to get results, and that's brilliant. This like games should be about making you like do things differently to achieve whatever success is in the analog, well, the analog of success for the game you're playing is. And so a vehicle in War Thunder that would make you play in a really unique way would be brilliant. I'd love to have it in the game, but I think ultimately it's probably not something that's needed. Um, so yeah, I'd love to see it, but I don't know if it's necessarily something that's going to be of high priority. A lot of people probably don't have my perspective. Like I love low tier vehicles because they're like again going back to me, like liking stuff that is sort of imperfect. Back then, there wasn't really any peak design. Not in the sense that top tier vehicles now are objectively perfect, but they can do. They're really versatile. Lower tier stuff isn't really. They have like a lot of faults, which means you need to kind of play them in a different way, and I like that. But a player can get through like tier one in an afternoon. So dedicating like tens of thousands to like vehicles that someone can breeze through in like a matter of minutes is not really the best use of like kind of resources. So I can appreciate why those things are not really in the game, but it would be cool if they were because I like that kind of thing. I'm a big fan. Yeah, my dudes, I cannot speak about anything new in the YouTube chat. Um, I'm reading it, but I'm not responding to you because I can't. So sorry about that. uh, yeah, I can't. I'm afraid. I would love to if I could, but it's not really something that's particularly possible at this given time. Uh, Thoughts on the F4U Corsair? I mean, their types are so different that I don't think I can really talk about them universally because they're all kind of so different. Uh, a lot of them can be brilliant. The F4U 4B is an absolutely incredible plane. One of the best aircraft the US has to offer, prop wise anyway. The early ones are pretty good as well, like the A. The A is hugely abusable. I don't know why it's 2.7 really, because that thing can just cripple enemies that don't hugely know what they're doing. But the intermediary ones aren't as impressive. Like the 1C, for example, has close to identical performance to the 1D. The 1D is at 3.3. The 1C is at 4.7, all because it has four A&M2s. So yeah, they're a bit hit and miss, but I think overall they are an aircraft that's worth playing. They're decently versatile. I think there's some stuff they can't really do. Obviously, like they can turn, but they can't turn hugely well. Like you will get beat by someone who knows what they're doing if their aircraft is more maneuverable, but you can beat an enemy in a turn fight with them, which is always nice. Versatile aircraft like that are great, so I think they're definitely worth playing. But yeah, the late ones and the early ones are definitely my favorite. Although that doesn't mean that you can't use the intermediary ones as well. But I certainly like those. I'll pour myself more tea. I will double up beverage. Let's go. Let us see. Do you read this comment? Yes, I do. I'm reading the YouTube chat, as I said, but I can't respond to the spam of new stuff questions because that's not really the point of this, and I can't really tell you even if I wanted to. But I'm reading it. Don't worry. I have the ability to look up and down. They're in sort of a line above me. I have Twitch at the top and YouTube underneath, so I can sort of keep an eye on both, which is quite nice. Um, that was nice. That was a nice sort of gulp of tea. That's refreshing my throat, which is getting a bit dry, I'm afraid. Hi, how are you, Daniel Johnston? I am doing just fine. How are you? Hopefully, someone will get that. Probably are. Probably will. Anyway. Um, at Martins, who are you? I don't really know at the best of times, so I can't answer that, I'm afraid. I think I work for this company and that I have a YouTube channel and I make guides, but I can't really remember. So maybe I can't really speak to it, I'm afraid. What do you think of the PS5? I think it's a game console. Uh, excuse me. The most fun vehicle to play, hands down, is the RBT5. Now, yeah, it's pretty fun. It's one of those vehicles as well that you can have a lot of fun kind of moments to it, and the benefit of it is that it's sort of the fun moments you get are kind of unexpected. So it's a good feedback loop to play a vehicle like that. I love the RBT5. It can be kind of tedious to play it, in such a way where you can make the rockets work, but overall it's pretty good. Definitely a fun time. Absolutely. Um, how to play 4.7 British tank? Well, you have the Churchill Mark 7, the Avenger, and the Firefly, all of which are pretty good. They play to their own respective strengths decently well. The Churchill is an incredible vehicle on its own BR. The Avengers are sort of a good vehicle for up tiers because it's very mobile, but has its own drawbacks there. The Firefly is a good sort of middle ground between the two. So the lineup itself is pretty strong, but not very forgiving if you misplay any of it. The Avenger needs to be played carefully, the Firefly needs to be played carefully, and the Churchill will need to be played at its own BR, or at least not, at 5.7. Like if you play it too high a BR, it loses a lot of its advantages. So for the Churchill, I mean, that's your kind of 4.7, 5.0, 5.3 vehicle. The others are more map dependent and should be taken out depending on the map you're on. The Firefly is better at sort of if you need to play at close quarters, but you can't rely on the armor of the Churchill. So it works in that regard. The Avenger works if you're a full up tier, like 5.7. And you need to use the map, use the mobility, push into the map, use the ridge lines. That's where the Avenger works best. So it's all about knowing really which vehicle to play at any given time, on any given map, any given BR. The rest of it mostly comes down to you, like your angling, your positioning in the map, and your aim. So I can't really go too much into that without taking too much time. But yeah, I think it's the main thing is going into really when to play what on what map is sort of what I would focus on personally. If I was a modded panty for that, it's fine. I don't know. My line of thinking really is that, I guess in general, is that people, know, I'm not really in a position to police this channel, so I can't really put my own perspective on it. But I mean, I don't really mind what people say about me as long as the intention isn't like only to make like upset me or something. That's usually like my thinking with anything. Is like as long as you're saying something with like a purpose and the purpose isn't like directly to make someone upset, then like go for it. I don't mind, even if it's like unkind. If it has like a decent foundation and sort of validity, go for it. But I mean, yeah, not really my position to police the War Thunder official channels, but that's my perspective on it anyway. I got 6 kills in 3.8 in SP. Nice. I haven't played SP for a while. Been a very very long time since I've given that a go. But I liked it. I liked it playing with the joystick and stuff. I think I played the 109 G2 a lot. That thing was brilliant. Really really fun playing. Gorgeous playing. Especially with the Der Adler camo on it as well from the old Thunder League, which was very nice. Are you a fan of the rhythm game OS? Yeah, I play it a lot. I don't want a lot as I used to. I don't play it too much, but I love it because I played a lot of Elite Beat Agents growing up, which is sort of the game that OS is kind of based off. So I like it a lot in that sense. But I used to play a rhythm game called Jubeat a lot, spelled Ju Beat, and it was called a Juke Beat in the sort of Western market. And I think I was in the top 10 players of that game. So I'm quite good at rhythm games. And it's a really good thing to practice playing if you want to get like your skill up in terms of like games in general, like your reaction times. Rhythm games are really good for that. So yeah, I like it. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Will World War Mode come back this year? I have no idea, I'm afraid. Maybe. Maybe not. Absolutely no idea. Why the devs not doing anything about the player decline in air sim mode? I have no idea. I cannot answer these sorts of questions, I'm afraid. As much as I'd like to, it's I don't really know enough information about it. I can make an assumption, but I mean, this community has a lovely habit of making assumptions in the absence of evidence, which leads to a very disconnected community at times, which is not a good foundation to have. So I don't really like commenting on stuff that I don't really know very much about. Can't read this word because it's not in English, so it took me about 5 seconds to work out. How often do you say I'm afraid? Well, it depends on the context. No, that sounds bad. No, it's just sort of it's like a pleasantry. I don't know. It's just part of my kind of verbiage, I guess. Don't know. I like saying it at the end of words, sentences, even. Will we see bigger ARB maps? Probably. I mean, when we get like I don't know aircraft that are faster down the line or whatever, it'll probably happen. But I don't really know for the particulars. It'd be nice though. Large maps would be pretty cool. Um, I've always wanted like more interesting like maps for ARB in general, like maps that kind of make you do things differently. That's a very vague thing to say. I mean that like the kind of actual combat area of the map, of almost every map, is the same. You're in the sky, the sea level's the same, and that's it. The only maps that are really different are some of the arcade maps, where there's like terrain to kind of dip in and out of, and like Afghanistan's a good map because you are at different altitudes, you need to play differently, and there's mountains you can play around as well. It'll be nice if we got like more ARB maps that utilize terrain more. They probably wouldn't be super realistic, and in that sense, but stuff like City as well. I mean, I think where the terrain comes into play, like it forces you into different situations in terms of gameplay. It breaks up the kind of monotony of doing the same thing over and over again, which is really cool. So I'd like to see big maps, and I would like to see more kind of varied maps like that in the future. But I mean, I can't really speak to that kind of thing. Mouse, should we move to arcade only? I don't think it's really fair to gatekeep it like that. If someone doesn't have the ability to utilize peripherals of, a joystick or whatever for RB or Sim, it's nobody's place to say they can't do that. Um, you know, let people have fun. If that's all they can do, then that's all they can do. That's it. That's you know, the best it can really be. I would like some new and reworked Pacific maps. I would as well. I mean, we don't see them anymore, which is a really big shame. They play differently. They had different objectives, and they just, visually they were kind of interesting to me. So it's a shame that we don't really have them anymore. I haven't got a Pacific map like apart from low tier Pacific maps for a really long time. Yeah, I would love to see a couple more of them down the line, or if there is a kind of rework. I don't know if there will be, but that would be quite cool. I'd like that. Absolutely. Real question. Any smilers in chat? The funniest memers are here. The peak memers. Look at us go. Look at them. Smiling away. As they should. I really need to scratch my nose. This is bad. I think it's just like, if my throat starts dying, my voice sort of starts, I don't know, it kind of vibrates a bit. So it makes my nose itchy, which is annoying. But still. Yes. Commodious memus. Yep. Peak. The funny has occurred. We can all go home now. Will Gaijin remove Malta from top tier ARB map pool? I don't have any idea at all. Maybe. Maybe not. Who knows? Hello, what's new in the game? Well, lots of stuff soon. Nothing like super right now, I guess, that's really new. The Battle Pass vehicles are new, but there's not exactly anything else this second, I guess. But like coming over, whenever the next update is going to come out, there'll be some new stuff, which would be pretty cool, I think. Will Gaijin ever publish a roadmap? Probably not. I don't know. I think the development of this game is sort of in flux so much that kind of it's like it's difficult to kind of for a game like this because I mean if you kind of outline that all of these things will happen, some of them end up not happening. Like War Thunder used to have a roadmap like 6 years ago with vehicles that they wanted to add, but it didn't really see or completion. There were vehicles in there that didn't end up coming to the game. I think because plans change and stuff, and when you kind of outline ideas or promises like that, it upsets more people when they aren't fulfilled. And I would guess that's why there's no roadmap, but ultimately I don't know. So that's more of a guess than like an absolute. This is why it's not here. But that's probably what I would kind of go for as an assumption on my front. Sea Vixen will be food. Well, I mean, one thing I always like is this community's ability to make assumptions about a vehicle in absence of all evidence apart from exactly what it is, without knowing its loadout, its BR, or its sort of place in the game. So, I mean, I don't really think it's, the action of a wise person to say such a thing yet. maybe it'll be useless. Maybe it'll be pretty good. It all depends on how it's implemented. But it's rarely useful to speak absolutely about such things before you have all the information on them. That sort of goes for everything, really, but also for this, I guess. Do you like the IS6? Yeah, pretty good. Again, vehicle that kind of works really well in some situations and not very well in others. But yeah, on its own, it's pretty good. A gun can be a bit underwhelming, but it has a lot of aggressive attributes for a heavy tank. Great aggressive armor, decent reload for what it is, and the ability to nullify small arms attacks, so very few frontal weak spots. So yeah, I like it. I don't know if it's necessarily worth it as a product anymore. Of course, you can really tell that I've been speaking a lot. Like, this is terrible. It's like I'm talking like with a... I'm not going to say that. That's going to take it out of context. I was going to say I was talking with something in my... No, there's no point saying that. Rest of that sentence, you know what I mean. I'm going to cough a bit now. I think that was worse. That made it worse. How did that make it worse? Awful. I think the IS6 is less effective as a product now than it was. This is terrible. I need fluid in my... Yep. Awful. Yeah. So, the IS6, very good, but not necessarily the most usable product right now, I'd say, because it's a tier 4 premium, and the price of a tier 4 premium is not exactly much less than a tier 5 or tier 6 premium. So, buying it has little value, especially if you consider, for example, that tier 5, for premiums, for example, can only research 1 BR above and all BRs below. So there are very few vehicles in rank 5 that can actually effectively research because there are so few of them. Whereas if you were to get a tier 5, there's like, I can't remember, like 16, 20 vehicles in rank 6 you can research. So in terms of the vehicle actually as a product, it's not really worth it anymore, in my opinion. It's a great vehicle. It works really, really well. But your money can be better spent buying other stuff. Unless the IS6 was moved to rank 5, I wouldn't really recommend spending money on it if you are going to spend money on the game. I would either buy a tier 6 premium or a tier 5 premium. The tier 4 premiums, some of them are good, but they have less kind of applicability in the game now. When they were introduced, they had a lot of use because, you know, it was back when I think there only was rank 5. I don't think rank 6 was back in at the time, or if it was, there were very few rank 6s. So it had more of a kind of tangible value. But now there's little kind of reason to buy them over something else in terms of like actually just as a product. So yeah, that's kind of my perspective on it, but they're pretty cool. Great vehicle, but little application, I suppose. Yeah. Consuming malt. This is aging me about 10 years. Isn't malt meant to be like a stereotypical old person drink? I vaguely remember reading that somewhere. Maybe that's just a UK thing. Who knows? Ah. What tea? I have Yorkshire Gold in this cup, which is quite nice. It's a bit cold now, unfortunately, but all in all, not bad. I'm a fan. It sort of does a decent job at being tea, as far as, you know, I can quantify. Any update on news? I don't really know what you mean by that, but not really. You'll have to wait and see for any particular dev blogs or anything like that. Yeah, can't really give you anything in advance. You'll have to wait and see. Plus, I mean, as I said in the beginning of the stream, you don't want me to tell you what's coming because it's like, you know, it's one of those things where the journey is more interesting than the destination. It's like, once you know, it's like, okay, cool. When you don't know, it's like, I wonder what it's going to be. So it adds kind of an extra element of interest in there, which I quite like. So yeah, I think ultimately you don't want me to tell you. You know, I could sort of, don't know, farm some personal points by leaking something, but I mean, like Reddit points or whatever, but I don't know if that's necessarily super useful for me to do. Do you still drink your tea when it's really cold? Kinda. I mean, I don't like waste, so yep. I like sort of everything. This cup isn't even very big. It makes my hand look tiny. I just have really small hands, so it's quite a regular cup. Awful. Arcade or realistic? I prefer the depth realistic has over the depth of arcade, but they're both kind of fun. I played a lot of arcade before I got a PC that could run RB, so I like both. I don't. I mean, I think it's like gatekeeping game mode is like a really weird thing for people to do. It's like there's different skill sets, and it's like RB players pretending to themselves that like RB is baby mode, and like simulator players pretending to themselves that RB is baby mode is like kind of a bit cringe. So subscribing to that idea is like kind of useless in my mind. They're all pretty good. They all have like different skill sets, different kind of ways of approaching the game that make it kind of yeah, different for different people. And it's good about that because if you want more kind of really in-depth gameplay, you can play more Sim or RB. If you want to just kind of jump in and jump out and have well have the vehicles perform a bit kind of more user friendly, I guess, then you can play arcade, and that's fine. Um, it's all good. It's all good. They're all pretty nice to me anyway. But you know, oh Christ, I need to scratch my nose. Terrible. Uh, Me as an AB main feels bad, man. I mean, yeah, just play what you like. If anyone's like trying to be weird about you playing one mode, then just like laugh at them, I guess, because it's like an embarrassing perspective to have. I mean, every mode is valid. I don't know why this is something I feel like I should say. It's just like I don't know, it's just strange to me. Uh, oh, here's one. It's not about gatekeeping. Mouse is OP compared to stick. I would entirely disagree with you, and I'm sure other people would, which leads us to kind of conclude that this is a subjective thing to say. I mean, in RB, exactly, mouse aim is better, which is fine because most people will play with one. So, if you are trying to appeal to the majority of people who want to actually be able to use a product and have like fun with the game, you will appeal to that. Mouse in like AB and RB being more usable than can flight sticks is absolutely fine. Um, in simulator, I mean, I try to play with mouse aim and I do way worse, and I see people with joysticks doing way better. So, I mean, go for it. Hello, Daniel. I am all good. How are you? Hope you're doing nice, having a good time. None of these hours are correct yet, I'm afraid. Some people are getting kind of close, but not even within like 1,000 yet, I think. I've been keeping an eye on it. I look at everyone. Nothing so far. Oh, it is Norway's birthday, isn't it? Someone was saying that to me earlier. Happy. I was about to say happy birthday, Norway, like Norway would be listening. What is going on? Head is bizarre. Terrible. Yeah, not quite. You guys are getting close. We're not. No, is that close? It's not close, actually. No, it isn't. Still not even within 1,000. Meh. Soon, maybe. Maybe I'll sort of have to do a little channel point thing so people can kind of redeem something like that. Does Gaijin have a pet snail? Sort of. Actually, there's one in this room. Let me get it. I'll be right back. I'll be like, I don't know, don't count it. We have um we have this, which is quite sweet. It's not like a proper snail, but it's adorable and I love it. And it sits on a box over there, but yeah, this is the closest thing we have to a snail right now. It's very sweet. I like it. Very soft. I will put it here for now. Yes, a good snail. Am I a sus? I'm not reading that. I'd rather jump out of a plane. Uh, see, Whisker King, I will ask you something here. Are you okay? Because this level of kind of passive aggression that you're showing is not really a normal way for a person to behave. So if something is annoying you, or you're kind of projecting your annoyance at simulator to me to, make yourself feel better, I think this is not going to be a good use of your energy. It's going to make you more upset in the long run. So instead of upsetting yourself by doing this, I think either, maybe take a breather, have a bit of a relax, and you can have a chat about it later. But this is not really the forum to kind of get upset, okay? Because there's not really a lot I can do to give you the answers that you want, because I can't, just say what you want to hear to make yourself feel better, and I'm not really the person in charge of deciding, how things are done. So, I mean, I think you should probably, take a bit of a break, my friend, and hopefully you'll feel a bit better later. Can you put the snail on the Gaijin store? It's not. I think it's like a custom-made thing. I think I can't remember who made it, but it's not like a merch. I guess it's like our own little thing. Maybe in the future, something like that could be on the store, which would be quite fun. But yeah, it'll be quite sweet. I do really like it. It's very soft, very sweet. I just got an 11 kill game with Germany 3.0. Nice, pretty cool. They have some good vehicles. Stu-42 is great. Panzer 3s are great. Yeah, pretty cool. Pretty nice. Do you know the person that runs the War Thunder Instagram page? Yes, we are roommates. That was too high. SC is my roommate. We hang out sometimes, and it's good. And he's very, very good. Bolton Paul Defiant, yes or no? I like it a lot, but it probably won't be coming. I don't know if it will be. I'd really like it to be coming, but it's not. It's not really a vehicle that has a huge place, I guess, for most people. So it's probably going to get shelved for something more kind of usable. But yeah, it'll be really cool to have it. It's very, very nice. Very, very nice. Snail is already on Reddit. No, I don't like having Reddit moments because it means people look at me, which is awful. They were roommates. Very good meme. Do you have a favorite jet in the game aesthetically? That is difficult. I don't know. I really don't know. I like kind of early jets. Early jets are quite cute. I don't know. I want to be boring and say the 262 because the 262 is really pretty. I like the Comet as well, even though it's technically not a jet, but close enough. Those are pretty cool. I don't know. Apart from that, I'd have to think about it. I don't really think about my favorites too much, but yeah, that'd be nice. Okay, Mr. Whisker Dude, I will address this sort of one more time. Uh, I am not trying to insult you. I'm just saying that you are upset, and the way that you're acting is not sort of, justifiable with kind of the worry that you have right now. You're not unhinged. You're just a bit annoyed, and that's completely fine. I mean, it's a game. It's going to annoy people at some point. But I can't say the words that you want me to say, I'm afraid. I would absolutely recommend, taking a bit of a breather. I think that would be good right now because there is nothing I can do to make you feel better. And, in that sense, you are engaging in something that will make you more upset deliberately, which is never a good thing for, any particulars of mental well-being. So that's what I would do. By all means, don't do that, but that's, that'll be my recommendation probably. It all depends. Share some donuts with you. Donuts are quite nice. I haven't had a donut for a while. I had one like a really long time ago. I can't even remember when I last had a donut. This is not something that I've really thought about for a very long time. I usually don't have sugary things very much. They're quite nice, but I don't know. I'm more kind of like a savory person than a kind of sugary person, I guess. Um, it's never really, yeah, not kind of my peak. Uh, More of a rarity for me, I guess. Actually, it's sort of getting close to the end now. We're quite, yeah. I think I've been doing this about 2 hours, so I'll wrap this up soon. I'll consume the dregs of my tea, and I will get back to doing other things. I'm doing some translation at the moment, which is quite fun. So, yeah, I will probably kind of wind down a little bit. I don't know why I'm doing this, but I am. So we all need to deal with it now, I suppose. Is your voice UWU alive? It is a bit. I mean, by alive, it can be sort of hanging on, which I think is quite apt at the moment. So yeah, I guess a little bit. Mondays with Oxy are legit. Love it. Oh, I'm really glad. Thank you. It's nice. I mean, I'm never expecting this thing to be like the most watchable thing in the world because it's like listening to someone talk with nothing going on is not like the most engaging thing in the world. Do you know what I mean? So it's not, I guess, super interesting for everyone. But I think it's here for people who like it or like want something like this. So if I can kind of do that, then that's really great, and I'm glad. Um, but you know, I mean, I appreciate it's not for everyone, which is fine. You know, as otherwise, I mean, you know, I was trying to formulate something in my mind, but it didn't work. I like I don't know. I've always liked making stuff that I think I don't know. I need to be able to formulate this because I've set it out now. It's like I've always tried to do things that people who don't enjoy kind of the super mainstream of something like. So you know, it's all like the videos that say popular on YouTube, for example, are usually quite high energy, um, you know, super energetic, like hyper memey and that's quite appealing. But there are people that really don't like that, and so for those people, they don't have as much content to watch. So I always like trying to make stuff that would appeal to the people who can't enjoy the majority of what's of content. So yeah, that's probably the best way I can kind of describe it. Um, so yeah, I like kind of trying to fill that role if possible. So that's sort of what this is, I guess, in effect. So yeah, it's kind of the main idea, and plus I like talking about the game. I've been playing the game for a huge amount of time, so you know, if I can kind of help people maybe enjoy it a bit better, then that's really really great, and I'm glad that people are sort of existing for that. So awesome. Well, yep, I will probably vacate quite soon. Well, now maybe. Um, I'm still doing the other streams, so I am still contractually obliged to stream on Thursday and Friday. Well, not contractually obliged, but I will be doing those because it's my job. Um, so I'll probably be able to see you all then. Thank you all for kind of hanging out. It's been very nice. Sorry I couldn't sort of answer all of the questions that you have. Obviously, you know, there are things I definitely can't answer at all, and some things I probably have missed. So I'm sorry if I have. But I hopefully managed to help a little bit, which was a cool goal to have, I suppose. Anyway, I do. You can really tell that I struggle to quickly finalize things. I will draw it out for as long as possible. I don't know why I do that, but anyway, yes. Thank you all very, very much for stopping by. Hope you have a lovely week, and I will see you soon. Bye bye.